There's a hidden crisis happening in millions of bodies, and most people don't even realize it's unfolding. After the age of 30, we begin losing muscle. Slowly at first, 1% here, a bit of strength there, but left unchecked, that quiet decline accelerates. By the time many people reach their 60s or 70s, they've lost up to 30–50% of their muscle mass. And that's not just about how you look or feel in your clothes. Muscle loss, known as sarcopenia, is directly linked to insulin resistance, poor sleep, depression, low energy, and even early mortality. The tragedy? This is largely preventable, and it starts with something shockingly simple: the food on your plate. And one key food group most people are not eating enough of. Today, we're going to talk about a category of food that doesn't get nearly the attention it deserves. It's not a powder, it's not a supplement, and no, it's not a trendy superfood. But it does directly trigger muscle protein synthesis. It influences the health of your mitochondria, the energy powerhouses inside your muscle cells, and it helps your brain regulate appetite, recovery, and even mood through deep hormonal signaling. Here's the scientific twist. Most people focus on how much protein they eat, but not the quality or type of that protein. And this is where the decline often begins. Because even if you're hitting your macros, your muscles may still be starving at a cellular level, especially if you're over 40, under stress, or in recovery from illness or inactivity. What we'll uncover today is the science behind one of the most overlooked muscle-preserving foods, what it is, how it works, and how to use it strategically. I'll walk you through 6 science-backed insights that explain why your muscles might be vanishing and how to stop or even reverse the process with the right inputs. We'll also cover a simple protocol you can apply before bed, one change to make at breakfast, and how your nervous system and hormones react when you get this one food right. Let's begin by unpacking what's really going on when muscle fades, and the role of a food you've probably been overlooking for years. The idea that muscle simply disappears with age is a myth. It's not your age, it's your inputs. In fact, studies from the Journal of Gerontology and American Journal of Clinical Nutrition reveal something deeply counterintuitive. Many people in their 50s, 60s, and even 70s can build new muscle tissue at nearly the same rate as younger adults, if the stimulus and nutrition are right. But here's the key. Most people are missing a critical source of protein that delivers not just the building blocks of muscle, but the exact amino acid ratios your body needs to actually synthesize new muscle fibers. The problem isn't always total protein intake. It's often the type of protein and how your body is able to use it. Let's unpack this. When you eat protein, your digestive system breaks it down into amino acids. These amino acids are then used to repair and build tissues, especially muscle. But not all proteins are created equal. What really matters is something called bioavailability, a measure of how efficiently your body can absorb and use those amino acids. And in terms of bioavailability, one category of food stands far above the rest: animal-based whole foods, especially high-quality meats, eggs, and fish. These foods are uniquely rich in leucine, the amino acid that acts like a light switch for muscle protein synthesis. Leucine activates a cellular pathway called mTOR, short for mechanistic target of rapamycin, which is the primary driver of anabolic signaling in muscle tissue. Without enough leucine in a single meal, roughly 2.5 to 3 grams, the mTOR pathway doesn't fully engage and your muscles don't get the message to grow or repair. Here's what the research shows. A study published in Nutrition and Metabolism found that older adults who consumed meals with low leucine content showed little to no muscle growth, even if total protein was high. But when that protein came from foods like beef, eggs, or salmon, the muscle response was significantly amplified. So if you're eating plant proteins alone, lentils, quinoa, or nuts, they may fall short in triggering this anabolic signal unless carefully combined or fortified. This doesn't mean plant-based diets are inferior. It means they require more strategic planning. But for many people, especially as they age, animal-based whole foods are the most efficient and reliable trigger for preserving and building lean tissue. Let's bring this into your daily life. If your breakfast is just toast, cereal, or fruit, and dinner is a small salad with a sprinkling of chicken, you may be underfeeding your muscles by both quantity and quality. A simple tool to apply is this. Aim for 30-40 grams of high-quality, leucine-rich protein in your first and last meal of the day. This helps overcome anabolic resistance and gives your muscles the signal they need to maintain or grow. What's happening in your muscles is a reflection of what's happening in your mitochondria, your hormones, and even your brain. Muscle isn't just tissue, it's an endocrine organ, producing compounds like myokines that influence inflammation, metabolism, and cognition. And when you feed your muscles the right type of fuel consistently, you're not just staying strong, you're signaling health at every level of your biology. If you've ever noticed that it's harder to build or maintain muscle now than it was 10 or 20 years ago, you're not imagining things. But the reason behind that decline isn't just lower testosterone or fewer workouts, it's something called anabolic resistance. Anabolic resistance is a gradual desensitization of your muscles to protein. As we age, especially past 40, our muscles become less responsive to the normal anabolic signals that drive growth and repair. You might eat the same amount of protein you did in your 20s, but your body now requires more to generate the same response. Let me break this down. In younger adults, a meal with 20 grams of high-quality protein might be enough to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. But in someone over 60, that same 20 grams might barely register. It's like turning the volume up on your stereo, but your speakers are worn out. You need a louder signal. And that louder signal comes from a few key nutrients. And the right foods, a landmark study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, found that older adults required about 40 grams of protein per meal, especially from leucine-rich animal sources, to maximize muscle protein synthesis. This doesn't mean you need to double your portions overnight. It means you need to be strategic with both the amount and timing of your protein. So what's the fix? One powerful approach is what researchers call protein distribution. Instead of loading up at dinner, spread your protein intake more evenly across the day, with front loading in the morning. Most people eat a carb-heavy breakfast, light lunch, and then a protein-rich dinner. But your body needs anabolic signaling earlier in the day to maintain the muscle-building rhythm, especially when anabolic resistance is at play. Here's a tool you can implement today. Start your morning with 30-40 grams of high leucine protein. Think 3 eggs with Greek yogurt, cottage cheese with berries, or a salmon and avocado omelet. Not only does this prime your muscle system, but it also blunts cortisol, stabilizes blood sugar, and helps regulate appetite throughout the day. And remember, if this insight is helping you, consider subscribing. Every week, we break down science like this and translate it into tools you can actually use to optimize your mind, body, and performance. Now, let's go deeper into what foods are doing the heavy lifting behind the scenes and why this one category is often dramatically underconsumed, even by people who think they're eating healthy. Let's get specific. What is the one food, or rather the one category of food, that most people are under-consuming, even though it could dramatically change their strength, energy, and aging trajectory? It's this: muscle meat, especially from high-quality sources like beef, bison, lamb, wild-caught fish, and pasture-raised poultry. These foods aren't just protein-dense. They're uniquely rich in the compounds your body requires for muscle growth and regeneration. Let's explore 3 of them: leucine, creatine, and heme iron. First, leucine, which we've touched on, is the primary amino acid that activates the mTOR pathway. Think of mTOR as your muscle-building switchboard. Without leucine, the signal doesn't go through. And while plant sources contain some leucine, they're far less dense. For example, you'd need to eat nearly 4 cups of lentils to get the same leucine as you'd get from a 6-ounce steak. Second, creatine. One of the most studied and effective compounds for muscular health, cognitive performance, and recovery. While many people supplement with it, whole food sources like red meat and fish provide it in its naturally occurring form. Creatine enhances the phosphocreatine system, which fuels short bursts of energy and increases cellular hydration, leading to greater strength and faster muscle repair. Third, heme iron, a form of iron only found in animal foods, is crucial for oxygen delivery and mitochondrial function. Without it, your muscle endurance, brain energy, and even immune health suffer. Non-heme iron from plants simply isn't as absorbable, especially in older adults who often have reduced stomach acid and compromised absorption. Here's what's remarkable. A meta-analysis in the Journal of Nutrition, Health, and Aging found that older adults who consumed more animal-based proteins had significantly greater muscle mass, strength, and mobility, even when controlling for physical activity. But here's the catch. Many people reduce or eliminate these foods due to fear of cholesterol, saturated fat, or outdated concerns about red meat and heart disease. Yet recent systematic reviews, including a large-scale 2021 analysis in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, show no consistent link between moderate red meat consumption and cardiovascular risk when part of a whole food diet. So what's happening here? We've traded the most anabolic foods on earth for convenience items, processed carbs, seed oils, and low-fat snacks. The result? Muscle disappears, energy tanks, recovery slows. But here's the reframe. Muscle meat is not just food. It's a biological signal. It tells your body, build, repair, activate strength. It tells your brain, regulate appetite, stabilize mood. Try this tonight. Add 4 to 6 ounces of lean, high-quality meat or fish to your dinner. Pair it with a source of collagen like bone broth or slow-cooked meat with connective tissue to improve amino acid balance, then observe how you sleep, how you feel in the morning, how your energy carries through your workout. This isn't about dogma, it's about biology. And for many people, reintroducing this one food group, even 2 to 3 times per week, can reverse the very process of muscular decline. Let's shift from muscle tissue to something equally powerful but less visible: your brain. Here's something most people overlook. The same foods that preserve muscle mass also influence your neurochemistry, and that means your motivation, focus, appetite, and even emotional stability are directly impacted by what you feed your body, especially when it comes to high-quality animal-based proteins. How? Let's start with dopamine, the neurotransmitter that fuels drive, attention, and goal-directed behavior. Dopamine is synthesized from the amino acid tyrosine, which is abundantly found in foods like beef, turkey, eggs, and fish. When you don't consume enough of these precursors, dopamine levels can dip, leading to low energy, reduced motivation, and even depressive symptoms. Then there's serotonin, your mood stabilizer. It's synthesized from tryptophan, another amino acid found in animal proteins. This matters because serotonin not only affects mood and anxiety, but also your sleep cycles, impulse control, and pain perception, all of which can influence your ability to exercise consistently and recover well. But the story goes deeper. High-quality protein also helps regulate ghrelin and leptin, 2 hormones that manage hunger and satiety. When your protein intake is low, ghrelin levels spike, leading to constant cravings. But when you eat a leucine-rich, protein-dense meal, say eggs and salmon for breakfast, ghrelin levels drop, leptin signaling improves, and your brain gets the clear message: I'm nourished, I can focus, I can rebuild. This may explain why high-protein diets are consistently associated with improved weight management, better blood sugar control, and lower rates of depression, particularly in older adults. A 2020 study in Nutrients found that participants over 60 who consumed higher protein diets had not only greater muscle mass, but better scores on cognitive and mood assessments. And here's a practical takeaway. If you're feeling foggy, unfocused, or stuck in low energy cycles, look at your first meal of the day. If it's mostly carbohydrates or sugar, like toast, cereal, or juice, you're spiking insulin without giving your brain the amino acids it needs to stabilize. Replace that with a meal high in tryptophan, tyrosine, and leucine, such as eggs with sardines or Greek yogurt with collagen, protein, and walnuts, and observe how your focus and mood shift within days. Your muscles and your mind are not separate systems. They're part of one feedback loop. And when you feed that loop the right signal, everything changes. If this is resonating with you, consider subscribing. This channel is all about translating deep science into practical tools that support not just your body, but your whole life. Up next, we'll explore how timing, especially when you eat protein, can be the difference between losing and preserving muscle as you age, and why your pre-bed ritual may be the most powerful opportunity. Let's talk about timing, because when you eat protein can be just as critical as what you eat, especially when it comes to preventing muscle loss and enhancing recovery. Most people eat the majority of their protein at dinner. Breakfast and lunch are often light, maybe some toast, a smoothie, or a salad, with a heavy protein intake coming late in the day. But research shows that this skewed distribution isn't optimal for muscle maintenance, especially as you age. A 2021 study published in Cell Reports demonstrated that evenly distributing protein across meals significantly enhances muscle protein synthesis in older adults. Another study from the Journal of Nutrition found that individuals who consumed 40 grams of high-quality protein before sleep experienced better overnight muscle recovery, more growth hormone release, and improved sleep quality. So why is this happening? Your body enters a mild catabolic muscle-making state overnight. If you go to bed without enough protein in your system, especially in the context of aging or intense training, your body may draw on muscle tissue to meet its metabolic needs. But when you provide a pre-bed protein signal, particularly from a source rich in casein or slow-digesting amino acids, you flip that signal from breakdown to repair. What's happening in your brain and body during sleep is profound. Your pituitary gland pulses out growth hormone, which helps rebuild tissues and supports metabolic health. But this process depends heavily on amino acid availability. If you feed your body the right building blocks, you enhance that anabolic window. If you don't, the repair process is weaker, slower, and often incomplete. Here's a simple tool to apply. Roughly 60 to 90 minutes before bed, consume 30-40 grams of slow-digesting protein. Great options include cottage cheese, casein protein shakes, or a whole food pairing like eggs with avocado. You can also add a teaspoon of glycine-rich collagen or bone broth to support joint and connective tissue repair. Especially helpful if you're training or recovering from injury. And if you're concerned about digestion before bed, here's what the data shows. When protein is consumed in moderate amounts and combined with healthy fats, it generally improves sleep architecture by stabilizing blood sugar and promoting satiety. Think of this pre-sleep protein ritual as a second workout, except you're lying down while your body builds, repairs, and regenerates. This isn't about hacks. It's about aligning your behavior with your biology. When you time your nutrition with your body's internal clock, your circadian rhythm, you create a biological environment that supports strength, energy, and clarity, even as the years pass. In our final core section, we'll pull it all together with a practical blueprint: what to eat, how much, and how to tailor it to your unique needs. Whether you're over 60, returning from injury, or just trying to reverse the slow leak of strength that so often goes unnoticed until it's too late, we've covered the why. Now let's focus on the how, the actionable protocol you can implement today to preserve and even rebuild muscle through food. Whether you're over 60, coming back from an injury, or simply looking to maintain strength as you age, here's what the research shows and how to translate it into a daily plan. Let's begin with the daily target. Aim for 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. That's roughly 0.7 to 1 gram per pound. But again, the quality and timing matter just as much as the number. Split that intake across 3 to 4 meals, ensuring that each meal delivers 30 to 40 grams of high leucine protein. That could look like breakfast: 3 eggs, 1/2 cup cottage cheese, and a slice of sprouted toast with olive oil. Lunch: grilled salmon salad with avocado, quinoa, and pumpkin seeds. Dinner: 5 ounces of lean beef or lamb with roasted vegetables and bone broth. Before bed: cottage cheese, or a casein shake with collagen. These meals provide not just complete amino acid profiles, but also support hormonal balance, satiety, and neurotransmitter production. And if you're plant-based, you can adapt this by combining foods like lentils, quinoa, tofu, tempeh, and fortified plant proteins. But you'll need to eat more total volume and potentially supplement with leucine or creatine. Speaking of creatine, this is a major performance enhancer, not just in the gym, but in your neuromuscular system, memory, and recovery. If you're not eating much red meat or fish, a daily dose of 3 to 5 grams of creatine monohydrate can be a smart addition. It's safe, well-studied, and even recommended for older adults to prevent cognitive decline. And don't forget the often missed synergy. Combine muscle meat with collagen or bone broth to balance the amino acid ratio. Collagen provides glycine, proline, and hydroxyproline, critical for connective tissue, skin, and joint health. Together, they form a whole body regeneration strategy, not just muscle hypertrophy. Finally, track your muscle output, not just input. Simple tools like resistance training 2 or 3 times per week, walking after meals, or even body weight exercises can multiply the effect of nutrition. Muscle is responsive and it listens to both the weights you lift and the foods you feed it. If you're feeling overwhelmed, don't be. Start small. Even just upgrading your first meal to include 30 grams of complete protein and adding a pre-bed protein dose can start shifting the needle in your body's favor. Your body is not broken, it's under-signaled. And this one food group, used strategically, is the signal your biology has been waiting for. Let's step back and connect the dots. Muscle loss isn't inevitable. It's not simply the result of aging, but of subtle shifts in biology, many of which we can influence. What the science makes clear is this: your body is constantly listening for signals. And one of the strongest, clearest signals you can send, especially as you get older, is through nutrient-dense, high-quality protein, specifically from animal-based whole foods. We've explored the 6 core insights. Sarcopenia accelerates not just from aging, but from missing key muscle-building foods. Anabolic resistance makes your muscles less responsive, but higher doses of leucine-rich protein can break through that barrier. Muscle meat, rich in leucine, creatine, and heme iron, is a biological activator, not just a food. These same foods also fuel your brain, supporting neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, regulating mood and appetite. And timing matters. Consuming protein in the morning and before bed can significantly improve muscle retention, recovery, and even sleep quality. Protocols work when you know what to eat, how much, and when. And most importantly, consistency builds resilience. We also learned that this isn't just about building bigger biceps. This is about restoring the body's fundamental ability to move, heal, and think clearly. Muscle is metabolically active tissue. It's protective. It communicates with your brain. It regulates blood sugar. It keeps you independent, vital, and strong, not just physically, but psychologically. If you take one thing from today's conversation, let it be this: start signaling. Your body wants to grow. It wants to adapt. But it needs the right conditions, the right fuel, the right timing, and the right consistency. Try this today. Upgrade your first and last meal of the day. Focus on getting 30 to 40 grams of complete high leucine protein. Add in a few ounces of red meat or fish if it's been missing. Maybe add a scoop of collagen before bed. Observe what happens, not just in your body, but in your mood, energy, and sense of momentum. These small shifts, done daily, create profound change over time. And if you found value in this, if it clarified something for you or gave you a new direction, I invite you to like this video, comment with your own experience, and subscribe to join this growing community of people who want to live stronger, think clearer, and feel better, backed by science. Together, we're building more than just muscle. We're building lives rooted in strength, clarity,